Can you really become the person you always wanted to be by just thinking differently? We've all heard the claim, your brain can rewire itself. It's the promise mindset gurus would die for, that if you can just change your thoughts, your brain will change too. From dead poor to rich, healthy, and successful, we're told the way we think can reshape who we are. But what's real here? And what's just great marketing? Why are we so desperate to become someone else? And what happens when you're sold shortcuts to get there? Bob Proctor taught millions that they could use their thoughts to get rich. Change your beliefs and your brain would change too.
If I can build an image of something in my mind, I'm quite capable of building a physical replica of it in my world.
That was the promise. And for some people, thinking differently worked. They claimed massive mindset shifts.
You'll really understand those things, what's been holding you back.
Even financial breakthroughs.
I started my own company. I knew that I was going to succeed in that.
But for others, nothing really happened. So, is brain rewiring real? Or just another self-help lie? Science says belief by itself isn't enough to rewire the brain. But if that's true, why do millions still swear by Proctor's ideas? What are they really chasing? A breakthrough or a comforting illusion? Bob Proctor's rise started with a forgotten self-help book from the 1960s called The Secret of the Ages. It claimed your subconscious was like a mental bank, storing every belief, every fear, every failure. Proctor believed most people were programmed for failure from childhood. But if bad thoughts could be wired in, maybe new ones could help you think in a completely different way. This idea, called a paradigm shift, became his life's mission.
They have to change their subconscious conditioning. That's what they have to change. That is the paradigm.
He built a global empire on it. His program told people to picture checks arriving, repeat mantras like money flows to me effortlessly, and rehearse success until the brain believed it was already real.
We become what we think about. Well, don't think lack and limitation. Think abundance.
His method followed a simple 3-step process. First, awareness. Spot the thought holding you back, like I'm bad with money. Second, reprogramming. Swap that thought for a new one, like I'm a money magnet. And third, manifestation. Act, think, and feel as if you've already made it. His followers didn't just learn these ideas, they lived them. In their quests to become better versions of themselves, they wrote affirmations daily, visualized success, and packed into Proctor's sold-out seminars to hear him preach
The law of attraction.
But here's the twist. If repeating thoughts really rewires the brain, why does it fail so often? Why do some people swear it changed their
Bob
lives,
Proctor is the Michael Jordan of prosperity teaching. He is the Michael Jordan of the subconscious mind.
while others feel nothing at all? The main reason? It's called the illusion of control. And it's not just a mindset flaw, it's a psychological trap. The brain convinces you that you're making progress, when really, you're just scrolling through the same beliefs in a never-ending feed. It's like taking steps on a treadmill with the goal of physically reaching a new destination. The reality is that you're not moving anywhere. Sure, it's exercise, but you're still looking out the same window of the same gym. Neuroplasticity doesn't reward the treadmill. It rewards the hike. First, consider the placebo effect. When people believe in a treatment, their brain can produce real chemical responses, like a massive release of dopamine. Proctor's techniques tap into that, with affirmations acting as these mental triggers. Meanwhile, visualization activates the brain's reward system. It feels real, powerful, even addictive, but that doesn't last for long. Without real, repeated action to back it up, the brain resets, the feeling fades, and nothing actually changes. Then there's the effort paradox. Proctor said thinking is the highest form of work, But neuroscience shows lasting brain change requires both mental and physical action. Training on the treadmill helps prepare you for the hike, but it isn't the hike itself. Take bilingualism, for example. Learning a second language can literally change the structure of your brain. It helps improve problem solving, multitasking, attention, memory, and even the rate at which you learn from then on. But that's only after hundreds of hours of effort. So yes, thought plays a role, but it's not enough. Without repeated action, the brain won't change, because real rewiring happens through synaptic pruning. The brain strengthens the paths you create and reinforce consistently over time, and weakens the ones you no longer pay attention to. Still, Proctor's ideas hit something much deeper and far more personal: self-perception. He often said the brain is programmed for failure.
Mistakes are steps to where you're going.
A phrase that can trigger the brain's threat system. If you've ever heard the phrase fight or flight, that's where this comes in. For some, the fear becomes fuel, sparking real transformation. For others, it becomes a cage, where the hype fades and frustration takes its place. This crucial puzzle piece helps explain why people respond so differently to his methods. And either way, it also shows how tightly our beliefs in biology are wired together, in our search for fulfillment, value, and control in our lives. In the end, Proctor's approach sits on one end of a larger spectrum, one focused on belief, as opposed to repetitive behavior. But belief doesn't just spark transformation. In the wrong hands, it sells miracles for $3,000 a seat.
Feel it. Grateful heart.
This is a Joe Dispenza retreat. The lights dim, music swells, 500 people drop into a trance, convinced they're healing their bodies with thought alone. Some say they leave reborn. Others say they were never sick to begin with. But what's really happening here? Are these signs of real, lasting brain change? Or are we just seeing the brain's natural response to belief and expectation? Joe Dispenza's story begins like something out of a movie. In 1986, he was hit by a truck while cycling. His spine crushed. Doctors said he'd never walk again. But just 6 months later, Dispenza says he healed himself using nothing but the power of his mind.
But I want to be very clear that a spinal cord injury is chemistry, hardware, molecules. Matter is not going to change matter. It's just not going to work that way. In a spinal cord injury, it has to be energy.
That personal transformation became the foundation of everything he teaches. His core idea?
Rehearse in your mind who you're going to be when you open your eyes. The things you have to do, the choices you have to make, the steps you have to take, and review them over and over again.
At his retreats, people spend hours visualizing their ideal selves, not just imagining success, but feeling it, seeing it, living it as if it were already real. He calls this
mental rehearsal.
Whether it's wealth, health, or healing trauma, participants enter deep meditative states, often triggered by breathwork and emotional cues like joy or gratitude, all designed to create biological shifts through focus and repetition. What makes Dispenza different is how he blends neuroscience with big ideas from consciousness studies, and even quantum physics. He suggests that focused thought can shift energy, influence biology, and rewire trauma responses. Science does agree that focused thought can help the brain rewire itself. But to what extent? Is a few days at a $3,000 retreat all you need to heal your mind and body and become the person you've always dreamt of being? Is this massive transformation that Dispenza promises really possible? I want you to close your eyes. Picture your ideal self. Healthier, wealthier, fearless. I want you to hold that image until it feels real. This moment forms the core of what Dispenza's retreats offer for $3,000, creating a state where mental imagery temporarily alters perception. This mental rehearsal technique of Dispenza's is described as being capable of reorganizing neural pathways.
They actually can change their brain and change their body just by thought alone.
Joe frequently uses a basketball study where participants improved free throws through visualization to support this. But a very, very crucial detail is left out. Those participants were athletes. They likely had hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of physical practice. Visualization helped reinforce what was already there. It didn't build something new from scratch. The meditation side of his work raises more questions. Monks who meditate for decades show structural brain changes, but Dispenza promises similar results in a few days. The coherent brainwaves he refers to, those brain signals that are in sync, flowing in smooth, balanced patterns, also show up when we sit down to watch a movie. So maybe it's the attention and concentration itself, not a unique, healing-oriented brain state. Many of the outcomes people report, pain relief, reduced symptoms, emotional breakthroughs, seem to follow a known pattern as well. They're often related to stress-based conditions like IBS, anxiety, or chronic pain, areas where the placebo effect has measurable impact. But long-term studies on these claims are limited, and many benefits may fade without repeated reinforcement. Still, participants return, again and again, not just chasing results, but chasing the feeling that change is right there, just out of reach. Because when belief becomes identity, walking away isn't so easy. For many participants, the investment goes far beyond $3,000. Some are managing chronic illness, grief, or trauma, and they place their hope in these retreats. In some cases, they completely ignore traditional medical care. The results? Mixed. Some walk away with relief, a breakthrough, less pain, a sense of purpose. Others? Nothing. No change. Just thousands spent chasing something that never came. Neuroscience supports the idea that belief plays a massive role when it comes to healing yourself. Belief alone is more than capable of changing our brain's chemistry, as we touched on earlier with the dopamine. But here's the catch. Those effects often need to be reinforced again and again. And real, lasting health changes? That'll take consistent, context-driven reps. Let's say you've broken your leg, for instance, and you're seeing a physio. Doing one set of your rehab exercises won't heal your broken bones. You've got to turn up day in and day out, over and over again if you want your injury to heal. Belief plays a part, but there's more to the healing process than that. And this is where the gap starts to show. While neuroscience focuses on slow, repeated effort, Dispenza sells immersive, accelerated transformation.
You gotta feel it to experience it.
One promises discipline. The other promises magic. And for many people, magic is exactly what they're hoping for. Because when you're hurt, stuck, or desperate to become a better version of yourself, the idea of rewiring your entire life in a weekend doesn't just sound good. It sounds like the only way out. Dispenza falls in the middle of the belief repetition spectrum with his healing approach to rewiring your brain. But what if it isn't enough? What happens when you put all your faith in change and it still doesn't come? Well, that's when people stop meditating and start walking across fire. This is a Tony Robbins event. A place where change doesn't come slowly. It comes in a flash. Through fire. Through fear. Through the kind of energy that makes you feel like your entire life just shifted. Tony Robbins built his empire on a story he's told for decades. That at 18, depressed and stuck, he rewired his brain in a single night using nothing but affirmations.
By changing our behaviors, we could change the entire world. We have that ability as humans.
That breakthrough moment became the foundation of everything he teaches today. His events are built to create big emotional shifts, and they use 3 main tools to make it happen. First, physical intensity. His seminars run for hours with loud music, fast pacing, and little rest. This kind of energy overload can shift brain activity from thinking mode to feeling mode, making people more open to change. Second, identity rituals. Things like firewalking or smashing through boards create powerful memories. These emotional moments help people feel like they've just become someone new. Brain research shows that strong, vivid experiences can shape the way we see ourselves. Third, group energy. With thousands of people all shouting,
No, I own you!
crying and celebrating, something happens. Emotions spread fast. Studies show these group highs spike oxytocin, the bonding chemical, making everyone feel like they're part of something big. Together, these tools create intense states that feel like real transformation. But feeling different for a moment isn't the same as staying changed. Walking across fire triggers a surge of endorphins. Group affirmations create a rush of energy and connection. But neuroscience suggests these spikes, while powerful, are temporary. Long-term studies of Robbins events attendees show that while 89% report immediate transformation, only about 12% say it sticks 6 months later. So why the drop-off? First, the adrenaline effect. Firewalking demands instant courage, but lasting behavior change usually requires gradual exposure over time. For example, phobia treatment isn't about flooding people with fear. It's about slow, safe steps. If someone terrified of spiders is locked in a room full of tarantulas, they don't overcome the fear. They shut down. Second, state-dependent learning. What you learn in one mental state doesn't always carry over. Feeling powerful at a seminar is one thing. Holding on to that power when you're alone, overwhelmed, or back at work? That's much harder. This context dependence is what makes transferring breakthrough moments into daily habits such a massive challenge. Third, social bonding transients. Events like these spike oxytocin, as we mentioned, but those feelings fade when the group disperses. Without ongoing social reinforcement, the sense of transformation often fades with it. These 3 things help explain a common pattern: the post-event crash. People come down from the high, life gets hard again, and instead of questioning the method, they go back for more, chasing the next breakthrough. Once they've committed to a belief, it's hard to let go. So they double down and go back, hoping the next breakthrough will finally stick. But how many breakthroughs does it take before something truly changes? Because after the event, something familiar happens. The energy fades, old patterns return. And instead of blaming the method, many people blame themselves. Maybe they didn't try hard enough. Maybe they weren't open enough. That feeling of falling short pushes them to sign up again, to try harder next time in their obsessive pursuit of self-improvement. But once again, neuroscience tells a different story. Temporary states like adrenaline and excitement can spark change in the moment, but they rarely last on their own. For the brain to truly rewire, it needs consistency in the real world. Not just on a stage, not just in the fire. Lasting change shows up in the small stuff. Choosing the healthier meal, taking a breath before reacting, showing up when it's hard. These aren't breakthrough moments, they're practiced ones, built day by day. Because that's how the brain actually works. It doesn't transform in an instant. It adapts through consistent action, through effort, through time, and that's where the illusion begins to crack. The real lie isn't that you can't change. It's that it should feel good while you do. In the world of self-help, there's a real struggle when it comes to brain rewiring. We all want fast change, but science shows it's a much slower process. Experts like Bob Proctor talk about how our beliefs shape us. Joe Dispenza mixes meditation with science, and Tony Robbins pushes for big, life-changing moments. Each of them looks at how we grow, but in different ways. Whether you're obsessed with becoming a better version of yourself because you want purpose, a healthier lifestyle, financial freedom, or something else entirely, you need to know that it's not going to happen unless you're willing to do 3 things. First, repeat your actions over and over again to build new pathways in your brain. Second, shift your mindset to get rid of the negative thoughts that hold you back. And third, be as consistent as humanly possible with it all until it becomes automatic. It's not ideal, but change happens in the small, everyday choices we make. The science behind it isn't flashy or exciting. There's no instant payoff or recognition. You have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to act on your beliefs. It's going to take time, and it's going to take patience. There's no perfect time to start rewiring your brain, so you might as well start now. And to take it up a notch, if you want to know how people are able to rewire the way a whole society thinks, click here. We'll be diving into how power was able to corrupt some of the darkest minds of modern history. Thanks for watching.